Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. A couple of days ago, we got new information regarding Avowed. Unfortunately, I've been so busy with Dragon Age, I didn't get a chance to give you my thoughts on what's been revealed. But I definitely want to do that now. I'm super psyched about this game. Obviously, I would love to see a Pillars of Eternity 3, but if we can't get that for now, I'll take anything that Obsidian wants to do in the world of Eora. I think the beginning marketing for this game was kind of shaky, but they've definitely shaped it up, and now I think a lot that has been released is going to be very exciting for Pillars fans and action RPG fans in general. So let's go ahead and dive into it. There were two parts to this. One was a story trailer that was released, and then there was also an interview done on the Xbox podcast where there was more discussion about some of the different aspects of the game and what people can expect when we finally get it in our hands. So one of the main things that they revealed is that the game is pretty much done, and Obsidian is just working on final touches and polish, which is very promising because it lends further credibility to the game actually being released this year, which I know is going to excite many of you. Now, when it comes to character creation, you are going to have to play as a godlike. You can have the body type of a human or an elf, but regardless, you will be a godlike character, which means you have been blessed by a god and will have certain features on your face that make it clear you are different from everybody else around you. Now, this is very interesting because depending on which god you have been blessed by, some other cultures will have a very negative perspective on you. So people who have been blessed by Remigan, for example, are pretty much killed at birth and looked down upon. They're considered to be harbingers of doom, whereas characters who have been blessed by Andra are considered to be almost like good luck charms, and they're looked at in a much more favorable light. Obsidian said that we will not know which god has blessed us, and so it'll be interesting to see how that is handled in game and whether or not everybody is just automatically critical of us, or if how people deal with our race is more of a case-by-case basis. Definitely interested in this and interested in why it's so important for our character to be godlike. Hopefully there's going to be a ton of reactivity to us being forced into that situation. Now, as has been mentioned before, there are not going to be classes in this game the way that there have been in the other Pillars of Eternity games. Instead, you're going to have skill trees that will line into the fighter, mage, or rogue category, but you can mix and match between all of them freely. So you can mix options from both fighter and mage to create a battle mage if you so choose. So a lot of the options you would expect to have Enchanter or Cypher or some of the other classes that you're used to playing will instead fall into one of those different trees. I'm super excited to find out whether or not this actually works. I'm probably going to create some sort of Chanter character because I've actually never played with Chanter in Pillars of Eternity before. So I figure, hey, might as well give it a whirl here. So I'm hoping I can take some of the usual Chanter songs and then combine them with a character who wields a two-handed weapon and really just go to town against enemies, and then let one of my other characters tank or handle range damage while Giada heals. So hopefully that works, and hopefully this class system is going to be set up in a way where there will be a lot of opportunity for interesting build mechanics. I think it's also interesting they mentioned that stealth is a viable option in this game, and actually you can get better quest rewards sometimes for stealthing to an objective as opposed to just trying to tear up everybody. So it almost makes me wonder, maybe I would be better off going the rogue route and using some of those stealth options to take advantage of better quest rewards. while they didn't provide more details, it really seems like Obsidian is going for the type of playstyle where there are multiple ways to solve different quests. So of course, you can always just go in guns blazing, but stealth is a viable option, and dialogue is supposed to be a viable option as well. They showed off more dialogue opportunities in some of the footage during the podcast, and it looks like we're going to have a return of your scores and different attributes, unlocking specific dialogue options that you can use to get better rewards or unlock more information. Really nice. I always appreciated the way Pillars provided more reactivity to me based upon my particular build, and so it's nice to see that that should continue in Avowed. It was also confirmed that you can play this game in a third-person perspective. Really interested in this because I honestly prefer third person. It's the Mass Effect fan in me. I like being able to see this character that I've created, and I hope that this functions well. Unfortunately, in my experience, when the game is basically meant to be played in first person, if they provide a third person mode, it just really doesn't work all that well, and it's not worth using. But hopefully that's not the case here, and they've really put some effort into it to make the third person experience seamless compared to being in first person. We'll definitely see. I'll be trying it out. Now, again, they did come out with a trailer, and it's actually a story trailer that talks more about the Dream Scourge, this plague that seems to be affecting the living lands. And there are different perspectives on what should be done with the Dream Scourge. The Emperor of Adir, who's essentially your boss and the one who sends you to the living lands, feels like the Dream Scourge itself is the issue and it should be eradicated. This is really interesting to me because starting the game this way with you basically working on behalf of this lord is going to be so much different from any other Pillars of Eternity experience we've had. As the watcher, you're kind of a force unto yourself and you're not really beholden to anybody else. You may work with other powerful characters, but they don't have the authority over you to say, do this, do that. Except for maybe Barath, but even Barath, you have the option to pretty much say, I'm not interested in anything that you desire or how you want this situation to be worked out. Whereas it seems like when it comes to this Emperor, we're really going to be beholden to him and expected to handle this quest in the exact way that he wants it done. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. Now, another perspective on how the Dream Scourge should be handled is provided by Inquisitor Lodwyn, who is the character you see with the crazy looking mask and the fire in her eyes. You actually meet her briefly in Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Towards the beginning of the game, you get a quest regarding this steel garrote, and you have to find a person who has essentially broken his oath. And when you get to the end of the dungeon, she is there surrounded by a bunch of her minions and is almost about to kill the character that you've been looking for. Very interesting to find out that she's back in this game and is considered to be the leader of the Steel Garrote, who, if you've played the Pillars of Eternity series, you know that they worship Wodaka. So I'm really looking forward to finding out how deities factor into this game and whether or not Wodaka is going to be a force that we have to deal with. But regardless, the Inquisitor looks super, super cool in this trailer, and she believes that the Dream Scourge isn't the real issue, that there's a chaos behind the Dream Scourge, and you need to figure out what it is and bring it to an end. Now, there's one more perspective on this, and it comes from one of your party members, Giada, and she feels like the Dream Scourge and the chaos that's behind it is actually a core part of the land, and it's not something that should be destroyed. Instead, it's something that should be cultivated, and you should find a way to allow it to peacefully coexist with the land, right? So you've basically got three different perspectives on how your main quest should be handled. And Obsidian basically seems to say like how you handle this and some of the other decisions that you'll be confronted with will help you figure out what does it really mean to be an envoy. You're essentially an envoy from the Emperor of Adir to the living lands, and what that role really means to you and how much you actually care about the denizens of the living lands is going to help guide your actions throughout the game. That's much different from how you deal with things in Pillars of Eternity. I think it's really exciting. It's going to give us a different slice of culture and life in the world of Eora. So definitely, I'm looking forward to going through this game. Now, we also got to see a new party member for the game, Yatsli. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. She's an Orlin and she's a wizard. And she's described as someone who's a real fireball. She does a little bit of flirtation with you in dialogue, so it'll be interesting to see if she's one of the romanceable characters. But from what I heard, it seemed like she was really a lot of fun to talk to. Definitely looking forward to partnering with her more when we get hands on the game. You are going to have a camp where you'll be able to talk with different party members and develop your relationship with them, along with upgrading your equipment. They briefly showcased some of the upgrade equipment screens, and it looks very similar to what we could do in Deadfire. I think the way that equipment and enchantments was handled in the Pillars of Eternity series was strong. I think it was one of the strongest parts of the series, honestly. So I'm really excited to see that hopefully transfer here. And hopefully they give us a lot of different gadgets that we can use so that a wide variety of builds will be viable throughout the game. Now, all of this sounds really positive, and I think for the most part, what I heard in the new developments we've received regarding the game are positive. There is one negative I want to bring up. In my opinion, the AI for the enemies still does not look particularly impressive, especially when you see the character fighting the spores. Now, later on during the podcast, they showcased some fights against the Delimgon, and I think those looked a little better. It seemed like there was more enemy reactivity, but definitely for the low-level spores, I felt like they weren't acting against the player nearly enough. There could be a multitude of reasons for that. Maybe it was on an easy difficulty. Maybe it's because they're low-level enemies, whatever. But I'm hoping at some point they show off some footage that really makes it clear AI is not going to be an issue in the game, and the enemies are going to pose a real challenge and consistently take action. I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting as well that the hitboxes appear to have been improved for the game. I felt like they were a real weakness in some of the earlier footage that was shown. It looks much more like your hits are actually connecting properly in this recent footage, but I do kind of feel like melee combat still doesn't look all that impressive. So that might be something that makes me decide, you know what, maybe I should go for more of a ranged option just so that the gameplay looks more impressive to me. Throughout my experience, this kind of stuff will probably be worked on more and more as the game leads up to release. So by the time it actually comes out, maybe melee combat does look really spectacular, and it's not even something that has to be considered. Regardless, I love the premise of this game. I think the party members that we've been introduced to thus far look pretty cool. The environments are looking better and better. So I'm excited. We're finally getting more of the world of AR. We're getting a little taste of what Pillars of Eternity has been providing. And I really want this game to do well, because hopefully if it does well, we'll finally get the Pillars of Eternity 3 game that fans of the series absolutely deserve. So those are my thoughts regarding what's been released thus far. Let me know down in the comments, how do you all feel? Did you enjoy looking at the trailer? Are you excited for the game? Is there any particular content you want to see regarding the game? Let me know. I definitely love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.